Might as well get started here. We are live with the Savage Lifestyle with Allison and Jack. How are you guys doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah.
Doing really good.
You are running for governor.
Yes.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that?
Being involved in South Dakota as long as I've been, I actually kind of end up hearing rumors from every direction.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't hearing anything concrete about any Democratic candidates running, or who they were kind of hoping that would run. And so the more I thought about it, I was like, I'll just do a third option and see how it turns out. I actually left the Democratic Party last year when I ran for city council. Kind of tested the waters a little bit then too, I think. And
So what you're running is what, like an independent then?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what made you like I know I've known you for quite a while and you've always had like a history in like government or whatnot, like activism and stuff. What led you down that path to get started in this direction that you're going in, I guess?
I mean, if I was to go, honestly.
Tell me the very beginning. I want to know.
The very beginning. Okay, when I was 17, I lived in Edina, Minnesota with one of my cousins and I was nannying.
Yeah.
And I started getting to be friends with different producers and stuff in the city. Really, a lot of EDM and club music and stuff was going on. This would have been 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
And the Institute of Production and Recording opened up. Well, I got all my classes out of the way. I got my GED, did everything I was supposed to do, but it wasn't federally accredited yet, so I couldn't go to school. I think I got sick. I got like gallbladder attack or something.
Gallbladder attack?
Yeah, when you live off the rest, so you gotta go home. that just sent me right back to the rest. And maybe a few weeks later, I got picked up. I like that. I got picked up by a campaign, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Stephanie Herseth, do you remember her?
I do. I haven't heard that name in a long time, actually.
Yeah, Stephanie Herseth Sandlin now. I believe she's still at Augustana.
Yeah.
And
would she like teach?
She's like the president or something.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was like a really successful campaign. We got her into Congress and all that stuff. And so when it comes down to it, like I came out the gate knowing what it looked like to win as a Democrat.
Yeah.
And then we had Tom Daschle and we had Tim Johnson. But then it just went right to thing after that. It just went right to rounds after that.
Yeah.
So and then we got Kristi Noem, So it was really
my girl.
You know how you are about her.
Fucking hate. She's so stupid. But I don't know. It's a joke that we play.
He photobombed her by accident.
Yeah, that's
a real picture.
Yeah. He's like, I want to leave right now.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people who just are just completely just out of it when it comes to what South Dakota politics has become.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of hoping that running as a third option candidate, that it will kind of get more people involved again, because I know that there's a lot of people who stopped voting.
Yeah.
And it's like, on both sides, that they just don't, they don't trust it anymore. And so it's like, how do we make it as inviting as we can in the next year, give an opportunity for everybody to take part. I'm building my website so people can reach out and get involved with volunteering. We're gonna have to have door knocking events. Somebody told me I should already be on the phone 24 hours a day. Oh my goodness, But fortunately for us, and you like you said, you've been involved here a long time too. We have national syndicates like Indian Country Today, and other places, so we're working on it.
Yeah.
I had a good article come out today from Indian Country Today, and
oh, nice.
Yeah, and a little interview and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So, Indian Country Today was my first national interview. My first local was with you,
right on.
And then my first television interview will be on Monday with Callahan.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who are you interviewing with that?
Tohashi. Just kidding. Dan Santella.
Yeah. Right on.
He said every day is Native American Heritage Day. And he's like, that's why we love you, fam.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
We're kicking off Native American Heritage Month with this year, so yeah. It's the year's going by crazy fast. It's already November. I'm like, yeah, Thanksgiving and fucking Christmas coming up. It's wild.
Yeah. What do you usually do for Thanksgiving?
It's just me and my daughter, so I usually just cook a turkey and just do the normal shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then eat it for how many days?
Yeah, forever. Like, my daughter like refuses to eat leftovers too, so it's like I'll just have turkey sandwiches for like 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, that sounds great though.
Yeah.
What about you, Jack? What do you do for Thanksgiving?
Typical routine in our household has always been sushi.
Oh,
Sushi? What the
yeah.
fuck?
That's great.
Do you make the sushi or do you like order it?
I order it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna. Yeah, that would be a lot of work.
I love how you just brought like the whole like decolonizing thing right back around.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
I was getting a little whitewashed there for a second.
It's all right. It was a little triggering to hear both of you say the word Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I just stay here in peace.
You know.
Yeah. Well, it's just another day. It's just a meal. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know.
More importantly, I think that what's collectively what I'm hearing and something that I kind of embody is just time with the family.
Pretty much,
that,
yeah.
That kind of reflection and kind of honoring that time is really well deserved and things like that. So it's just really coming back together. Sushi is just one of my family, my boys and I's favorite meal, and so it's been, hate to say easily acceptable. Like I didn't get it very easily.
Yeah.
So we definitely relish in that. So that's kind of it. I don't put myself through the stress of putting together an intricate meal like that. Peace to me is just way more valuable. So
Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. How many? You say
I
2
have
kids?
twin boys.
Oh wow. How old are they?
They're about to be 6.
Jeez. That's gotta be a handful, I would imagine.
It's not.
No.
No.
I had
She runs a tight ship.
I do.
Oh.
Allison knows this very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one girl, and she's gonna be 20 now. But yeah, it was crazy raising her all by myself. So I can't even imagine raising 2 would be difficult. I would imagine.
And I'm sorry to hear that you did that on your own, but I know that comes with a lot of the difficulties. I have a great
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
I have a great assistant, and my mother is just really captaining that ship. And really our strong matriarch in our family. That makes a lot of things possible for me.
Yeah. That's what's up. You're from here also, or where are you from?
I am not.
This is my first time meeting you, so I don't know you at all. Please
It's all right.
inform me on
What do you want to
your
know?
background. What leads you with Allison here?
What
brings you?
leads me?
Yeah.
Oh, leads? Yeah.
How did you guys meet up? How are you guys teaming up on this adventure here?
So I was working as a director of communication for a few local
Yeah, that's
nonprofit
you don't want to
boards.
do that.
No, I just wanted to smell it. I don't drink.
I know,
remember?
that's what I'm saying. You don't want
to.
I don't
He
drink,
doesn't.
so I just like to smell stuff when it's there.
So I was working on nonprofit boards as a director of communication. I have been doing outreach and volunteer work for a few organizations here. I had just been kind of community immersed, but we met more reluctantly, I believe, through friends at an event that basically were like, you should know one another, you seem to be kind of level with the community-minded mindset.
And then, we both like to go to PAVE.
Yeah, well, I'm kicked out of PAVE, so I can't join you there.
Yeah.
But it looked like it was a lot of fun last night. I seen a bunch of people's snaps that were at PAVE.
Dude, they said 45-minute wait to get in.
God damn.
Yeah, I was at 18th for,
Yeah,
I don't know,
fuck
it
that.
must have been after you left or whatever.
Yeah, we were at 18th for a while.
Yeah, and someone told me that I just got here, and then an hour later it was like, oh, I finally got in.
Really?
Screw that.
I
Yeah,
didn't know they were
fuck
having
that.
an event yesterday.
Well, I think it was just Halloween.
Yeah,
and
everybody was
college
out with
kids
in
and the
their
cops were down too.
outfits and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was pretty packed. We were at 18th for a while, and then we went up to Top Hat and hung out up there.
How was that?
It was fun.
I
Yeah.
heard there was. I heard like I was at one of the local businesses downtown, and then a bunch of staff were like, "We're going to Top Hat," talking about their outfits and stuff. That's what I hit you up was like, "How's downtown?" Because I was contemplating if I even wanted to chance it, because like I just mentioned, I don't drink.
Yeah.
And so I have anxiety a little bit, so it's really hard to get into like huge crowds.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like that hectic and everyone else is like, but it's fun, but not when it's like 10,000 people on Phillips.
Yeah, Halloween's like amateur hour for, just,
Amateurs?
yeah, just everybody that's doesn't usually go out like I'm a seasoned alcoholic, so I'm out there all the time. But on the days like New Year's and Halloween and fucking, you know,
high five for being able to say it out loud. I love that for you.
I don't care. Yeah,
You
it's
know?
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Transparency is.
I maintain
all
a
we
tight ship, even though I'm, you know, I have my fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
No. And,
How long
and
have-
people need to know that about you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well,
I think you get
I
a
think it's
bad
out
rap
there,
for
yeah.
starting a big partier. And
It's
you're
all right.
responsible.
It's all right.
I didn't even know you had a job until you ripped your pants a couple of times.
No, I have a regular job. It's I've always had a job and done all my other stuff on the side.
And regularly rips his pants.
Yeah, I rip my pants way more than it should happen. Like the other day, was getting out of my truck at work and fucking tore the ass out of my jeans. Like as soon as I got out of my truck, and I was like, I'm not going home now. I just walked in. Everybody was like looking at me. I was like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. My fucking ass is hanging out.
I had to roll with it.
Yeah, it was all bad.
I follow him on social media, that's why. Yeah.
It's a lot of ridiculousness. I don't know.
Yeah.
How long have you been sober for?
Sober or like California sober?
Whatever your definition of sober is. How long have you not drank? Let's say that.
I'm thinking over the last maybe 4 years, I've probably drank 5 times.
Yeah.
And you've seen me once, and I had hives the very next day.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very open about my health and stuff. It is important for us to realize that Native Americans are more likely to stop drinking by a certain age than we are to keep drinking.
Yeah.
And so 40 was just going to be my year, I guess.
Yeah.
I have kind of sporadically taken time off from drinking. You know, you have a relative that dies or something, you cut your hair, and then you don't drink for as long as you can or however you go. And so I've done that a few times, and then that ended up leading into like years, 3-4 years at a time, because you know, people die. And so this time I've just kind of been, I don't know, I wish I could drink sometimes, because I think for me, I've never had trouble saying I'm a drinker, but I've never kind of grasped the idea of being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
My parents never drank in front of me. I grew up in an alcohol-free home, but I was still susceptible to all the problems, you know, on the res, drinking and partying and all that stuff. But I think a lot of that had to do with my mental health more than anything.
Yeah.
And so as long as my mental health is in check, I've been pretty good about drinking. But it's also like kind of one without the other. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the journey I'm on, you know, so I don't try to like categorize too much of it with other people.
Yeah.
But right now I break out in hives.
Well, that would be a good reason to not drink.
Or I get really bad heartburn. Yeah, the last time I tried to drink, I like Jameson when I did used to drink. I really like whiskey. Like, it was, But the last time I tried, I got heartburn within like the first 2-3 sips. It was horrible.
Yeah, that's not good. I break out at hickeys a lot when I'm drinking. It's rough.
Still?
It's still.
You should get you a dog comb for that.
Yeah, you're right. I should get it. What happened? You don't want to know. It was rough.
Trying to get after himself.
He was out snagging again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. So, are you from Sioux Falls then, or where are you from?
No, I'm not.
Where are you from?
I'm from Bakersfield, California.
Oh shit! How long have you been in Sioux Falls then?
I'll be going on the 13 years, January 4th.
Right on. What brought you here from California?
Previous relationship. So my first husband was an adjunct professor and the tennis coach for SDSU. So I was a former collegiate tennis player in California, and so we came out here for his career. I loved it, and I've been out here ever since.
Right on. Do you still play tennis?
I do still play tennis,
That's
and
cool.
I still win.
Yeah,
More
that's
importantly.
Awesome. Yeah. Right on. I would probably die like 20 minutes in. Not even 20, like 2 minutes in.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Maybe you should start with pickleball. I hear that's the trend now.
I used to have on the old Nintendo game. I had a fucking a tennis NES game that I used to play all the time. Yeah, it's like Chris Everett tennis or something like that. I don't know why.
Yeah. Did you have like the racket with it and everything?
No.
Like the stick.
The first Wii,
almost like the Wii.
first Wii
Almost
set.
like the Wii.
Yeah. No, this was even like before that. It was like just the old school Nintendo like 2-button control, just like.
Do I dare ask? Like because you're older than I am, right?
I'm 46.
You're 46. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad. I'm 41.
Yeah, I'm an old man, so.
That's not too bad.
It's crazy.
I guess I never asked.
Yeah.
But we're Lakota, so it doesn't really matter anymore,
Yeah,
right?
ageless. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and you've been in Sioux Falls since you were 15, right?
No, I moved to Sioux Falls in 2000, so I've been here for 25 years now.
Oh.
Yeah, but I grew up on the Rosebud Reservation, and then I went to college in Seattle, and then like my mom got sick, so I had to move back from Seattle, and I took care of her on the res for like a year. And then when she was better, it was like time to make a decision. It was either go back to Seattle or go to Rapid or Sioux Falls. And at the time, like everybody went to Rapid, so Rapid was just like a big res. So it still kind of is, but like
for something different, you
yeah,
go to Sioux Falls?
I was like, let's go where people don't normally go. So I moved here to Sioux Falls, and then it's been here ever since.
Okay, so big question I have to ask.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to lose your Boston accent?
Oh, I lost that immediately. Like I moved to
And how many beers does it take to get it back?
I don't think I get it back anymore. But like when I moved to the res from Boston, the res kids like pretty much knocked that out of me like immediately. Like I had to lose that right away. But if you talk to my mom still has that Boston accent. Like we went to see my mom like a couple weeks ago, and I had my buddy Andy with me, and he was like, "Dude, your mom has a crazy accent." And I was like, "I know. She lives in Valentine, Nebraska for 30 years now, and still has that accent. It's crazy."
See, I hope in 30 years I still talk like a res kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm excited to be on your show. I've been watching your lives and stuff and sharing it and everything as much as I could. It's important for us to like see the process being done, not just going live on Facebook, but actually getting it on iTunes, and you got yourself out there. And
yeah, it's a whole thing. Like that's why I say like the episodes air like 3 weeks after we do the live, just because it takes a while to like edit it, and I wanted to have like a buffer, like in case I can't do it 1 week or something like that or whatever, so that way I have like episodes banked, so I can take a week off if I want to, or just have time to edit the episode and not feel rushed with it or whatever. So
right. No, that's great.
That's why we do the live, because that way the live is like, if we're talking about stuff
instant
like
gratification.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people watch the live, or it's more accessible than like listening to it on Spotify or stuff like that too. So it makes it a little bit easier for people to digest if they're just scrolling by and like, oh, there's that fucking idiot, and then they'll stop and watch it for a little bit, and so.
We're like really good at our comms jobs here. We've turned the interview into being about NightShield.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah. I didn't mean to.
What I'm ignorant on. What was it? Comm director? Is that
communication director?
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. So what does that like entail? Like what's your day to day with helping Allison out?
So for Allison's campaign, it's always unique. So her city council campaign last year, I came in as a fan and a supporter for her, and she knew that I had certain skill set, and I wanted to just help refine or finesse some things that she wanted.
Yeah.
So I don't really come into things with Allison with a direct plan. She doesn't follow that kind of order.
You gotta meet me where I'm at.
This is true. This is true. She has her vision, and it's always been clear. So it's more of helping facilitate her message, her work.
Yeah.
Keeping her on top of a certain task and getting things out. I think people would be surprised on the political background, how much paperwork, logistics. It's not so much strategy and making the rounds of interviews. It really has a lot to do with the technicalities of navigating the systems online, filing, documentation.
Mm-hmm.
So those back end things, those unglamorous things, are kind of where some of us will just kind of do some forbiddings.
Yeah.
But if there's something that's coming up, I do like to converse with her some of her talking points and kind of really honing in on what we want to focus on, and then see kind of almost like a feedback, my interpretation of how she's presenting an idea or a concept to others.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And how I can be you know, going about it in a more, I don't want to say subtle way, but more empathetic way.
Yeah.
I can come off a little harsh, and it's by design. You know, I think for the last 20 years organizing in South Dakota, I don't want to say I've had to gain tough skin or anything, but I also don't want to look at myself as being jaded either. So I still like to think that I'm passionate. You know, people always say, oh, well, you're really passionate about this. You could tell you really care. It's because I'm, you know, fighting myself, and then, you know, you're fighting your critics and all these things at the same time, but I'm still trying to care because we're so conditioned not to.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm right now just trying to kind of get a good idea of what people want to see versus what I think that they want. You know, because I think, right, politicians always want to act like they know best. But a lot of the times they're talking from the last election cycle or like 4 cycles ago, because they're still throwing their same ideas at the wall. None of it really ever sticks. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, unfortunately, in what we're seeing now specifically is like it's easier to pin people against each other and fight like it's a team sport than it is to find a common ground. And so with Jack's help and with a few other people that we're kind of in contact with now, I've had really good calls with every top political player you could think of right now has had a part of this conversation at some point. And I'm not in this alone at all. And I have yet to hear anybody tell me no to not do it, or for anyone to say it's a bad idea. Yeah. And you know, and if they have, it's because they didn't need a reason for them to think that about me. You know. Yeah.
People just hate for hating's sake. I don't know, but I mean, why not? Why go for it? You know.
You know, and that's how I feel. And now that the Dems don't have anybody coming out, you know, at 100 miles an hour or. But for that matter, having started in April, you know, that's why everyone has money now, is because they've been fundraising since April. Yeah. I'm considered to be late in the game, which is wild because like we still have a year to go.
When is the actual election?
It'll be the first Tuesday in November. So about 360. What did I say? 367 days or so. Huh. Yeah. It's it sounds like it's a long ways away, but it'll go by so fast. Yeah. And I'm just really hoping that. You know, so far we gained some traction, and we really get some support that'll come to, you know, not just Sioux Falls, but all throughout our territory here to kind of get out the vote, but also take on everything we're up against. You know, I don't want to get too far into it, you know, because I do get carried away. But you got, you know, Prairie Thunder, you got, you know, DHS is just tearing like the whole country apart. Yeah. And we can't pretend that we don't see it here in Sioux Falls. Right. And, you know, then also we have to think about so many different perspectives of that fight in itself, because there are people who have been on the front lines and are still every day. Yeah. You know, and how do we support those people? How do we as First Nations, Native American people not take that fight on and overshadow our brown relatives who are, you know, actually there under the thumb of everything. Yeah. Because, you know, we had a conversation about, you know, your daughter recently. I don't know if you've shared that publicly, but, you know, it's
probably not.
It's a big deal. That is a big deal, and it's really unfortunate she went through that. It draws attention though to the fact that we are going through what we're going through here.
Can I just put a pin in what Allison's saying? Do you feel comfortable talking about that right now at this point?
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah,
okay,
and it's not. It's and I won't go too far. That's why I'm not dwelling. But like, you know, there's a lot of things that we're experiencing collectively here in South Dakota, and I think by getting everyone comfortable, like, you know, not to be too cheesy, but you know, we'll get there. We have a year, you know, because there's so many other topics that are still heavy for people, and I think that's where the division is. Magnified, right. Or even that's where they want you to be. They don't want you to be able to talk about stuff. They want you to stay in your trauma. They want you to, like, you know, be distracted. Yeah. We're gonna go down. No, I'm just kidding. We were on the way here. I was like, do I talk about?
Trying to steer her.
Yeah. I was like, we're not gonna get too far into conspiracies, but there's a lot going on in America right now.
Yeah. What like you know, like you mentioned, people say that you're sort of late in the game or whatever. What made you decide to just jump in and just, you know, start it now? Was there like a moment where you were just like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it, or like what led to the decision to announce?
While she's thinking of that, I'm just gonna chime in something. As long as I've known Allison, she wholeheartedly introduces herself as the future.
I might run for governor someday.
Yeah, that's like her
Yeah.
opening line.
Oh, yeah.
It's really beautiful to see the confidence in the years that I'm like, oh, this is my friend Allison Renville. She's like, hi, I'm gonna go run for governor sometime.
Yeah.
And I was like, and she's going to run for governor sometime.
Yeah.
I don't think I thought it was going to be this year. But, I also was kind of hoping for a little bit more zest in the candidates on both sides. But also, once I looked at the independent ticket, the truth of the matter is that, the other independent candidate is a registered sex offender.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, you can look it up. I won't drop his name, but it's there.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's real. It's South Dakota.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and in some publications you'll just hear his name, or he's just a
Yeah.
guy from Chamberlain. They don't put that he's a registered sex offender.
That's fucking wild.
And he's like, I hope this doesn't make people judge me. Like, no, we're gonna judge you. It's okay, sir. I don't, and it'd be different if he had already did his time, but he's still on the registry, so he's still working on it. And
You're
some
always
people-
on that registry once you're on there, right? They can't take you off it.
I don't know. Can you get off the registry eventually? I thought you could. Like if you paid if you were
I'd have
extra.
I'd have to look into the
Yeah, maybe
ordinance
we'll
and
have to
policy.
Google that. Somebody Google that in the comments.
That's crazy. What the hell? Yeah, I didn't know that.
But I was recently involved in a convening that happened in Sioux Falls here with a lot of people who work within the reproductive justice realm, and I had a conversation with a couple of people. I'm like, what do I do? Do I go for city council again? Should I just run for governor? And somebody was a prominent non-native organizer was like, well, yeah, why not? Just throw your name in there. Everybody should.
Yeah.
And it just like that, it was like, do you think I could?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as so-and-so's not in the way and you guys aren't fighting over this over here,
Yeah.
it's like, maybe I could. It turned into next thing, it's like the next table I went to, I was like, if I ran for governor, what do you guys think? I ran to I don't want to say the youth table.
Yeah.
And I asked them, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, seriously?" And so I literally just went throughout the whole entire room. There's maybe like 8 tables.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I was like, "Yeah, I could probably run for governor,"
Yeah.
But I'm also in a cohort for the Advanced Native Leadership, and it was founded by Peg Flanagan, who's currently the Lieutenant Governor in Minnesota, and as well as a former legislator in South Dakota, Kevin Killer.
His name is Killer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your last name.
Yeah, right?
Kevin Killer.
Yeah, he's cool, man. And so we really kind of just been looking at what it could look like eventually.
Yeah.
But like I said, it just, we don't know what democracy is going to look like in a few years.
If there'll even be some.
Right. And like, what is an election going to look like this next go around?
Yeah.
It's just really something. So I kind of just waited around a little bit, but after this convening and the conversations I was having with people, I started reaching out to more people. I reached out to a friend of mine who's very well educated, and he has a very high standing in Indian country and very wealthy. Has a lot of big connections. I dropped some names, but I'm humble. And
the most humble person you'll ever
just
meet.
most Jay. But even he said, why not?
Yeah.
And so we're now kind of looking at a more national kind of outreach right now to see who can help me from where and how to go about it.
Yeah.
And so this story coming out in Indian Country Today is kind of my first little push. I reached out to friends at CNN and a couple other different national syndicates too. So it's really just like 2 weeks into it.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get too caught up in like anything but the fundraising part of it and platform creation, and like I said, getting input from people about what voters want to see.
Yeah.
Because I think we don't talk about voters as constituents enough. You're responsible. That's the people's chair. And so not to be confused with champs, but it's real. You need to be involved in the community. You need to have your ear on the ground.
Yeah.
And so It's kind of what I've been doing. That's why you see me in the most random places in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
I can't go anywhere without running into people now.
Yeah.
That must mean I'm getting up there.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely known in the community. That's for sure.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so. You know, I've only been here almost 4 years, but it's just been quite the experience to learn. You know, obviously there's cycles in Sioux Falls, and so there's a lot of things that we learned, I think, during the campaign about how those cycles work here. And so I want to just say, you know, respect for your consistency too here in the community, because they haven't pushed you out yet or burned you out or whatever they do to folks, you know. And so, and I'm sure they've tried, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to be in a city that's growing so fast but maintain our visibility. And so I'm really glad to see like such a great group of people now that are being platformed without letting themselves get tokenized and all this other stuff too. That's great. I love that stuff, because we deserve proper representation across the board. City council, school board, you know, everything, commissions. There's like 3 positions open in county commissions. One of them is like legal. Another one is like housing. I mean, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
And like these things you can just apply for and get on. And so, you know, how do we put our people in places like that?
Yeah.
You know, and you've been here longer than both of us, and so I don't know if you can see the positive changes in Sioux Falls.
Like Sioux Falls is vastly different than from when I first moved here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy different. Like just the expansion of the city, like where we're at right now didn't even exist when I first fucking moved here.
Right.
It's like 5 years ago, I don't think this was here. You know, It's like the Sioux Falls is growing. You know, it's I love Sioux Falls. Like I can't imagine living anywhere else. I love Sioux Falls.
I think we need to talk about a lot of deeper issues, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of us who are kind of desensitized to it here. I mean, needless to say, it's like violence and crime and all this stuff. It's like, oh my God, like whatever, it wasn't that big of a deal, you know.
Well, I mean, no place is perfect.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to go anywhere where there's not going to be violence or crime, or, you know, I feel like for as big as Sioux Falls is, there's not much violence. I mean, obviously there's violence and stuff, but like I said, you're not going to go anywhere where there's not any violence.
Right.
And for as big as Sioux Falls is, I feel like it's not as bad as.
I think it just feels big because everybody knows each other, and then all you got to do is go on Facebook or Live or something like that, and next thing you know, it's like you got all the details. And then you run into somebody like 2 days later and they heard the other side of the story, you know, so like within a week you've heard like all 4 sides, and it's like not that bad. It wasn't that bad.
I always say
I can't say that.
Sioux Falls is like a small town, but like a bit with the big city like elements to it. I always feel like it's big enough where you have all the comforts of a big city, but small enough to where it still feels like you still know everybody here.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I like it.
They're probably not going to see this, but there's a waitress that is always working at the Frying Pan. Cute young girl. Ran into her at McKinnon Park last night, and I'm just walking behind her, and I'm like, bro, there's like 700,000 people here. Why am I running into the Frying Pan girl?
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about, right? Like literally, I get crowds. I don't know if you went trick-or-treating at all last night. Did you go to McKinnon Park last night?
I drove past it after leaving volleyball event after the university.
It was so packed. I didn't even see that my friend walked by me, and she literally like slugged me in the shoulder and was like, "Hey!" Like, oh my God! It was just wild.
Yeah.
And the cotton candy house was a 45-minute wait.
The cotton candy house?
Yeah, they give away cotton candy, fresh cotton candy.
Really?
It was worth it, the whole thing.
Huh? That's wild.
Yeah, it was great. But it was, you know, the weather's changing and all that stuff too, so it's just it's exciting. I like this time of year. Halloween was fun. You said you went out last night?
Yeah, I went out and just, you know, had fun with friends and stuff, but I'm always afraid of like trick-or-treating and stuff. I can't see as it is in the dark, so I'm like, I don't want to be out driving around because like, I don't know, it'd be a nightmare to like bump into somebody or like hit somebody on accident because the streets are so crowded and whatnot. And, I don't know.
Then it's like raining or sleeting and stuff.
Yeah, it was shitty out last night. It was like raining.
My kid was like, my astigmatism.
Yeah.
So something I would encourage, I'm very aware that the McKinnon Park area is quite a legacy of neighborhoods in Sioux Falls area. For some of those are not quite informed on that. And what typically happens around Halloween, Christmas, a large group of the community does seem to migrate towards those particular areas. my caveat to that is they should be really enriching their own community and doing their own events, and really bringing that back into, so it's a safer and things like that. What happens is we have a bottleneck system that occurs around McKinnon Park because, like I said, I was headed home to the east side and taking East 26th Street, and it is just lined up, and everyone looks so wonderful and everyone's having this glorious time. But my heart breaks because I know when I get home, my mother and my children are happily awaiting what we call customers.
Yeah.
So when the doorbell rings, they go, "We have a customer."
Yeah.
And so they get everything. They get so excited. But we probably had maybe a dozen children last night.
Oh,
and
really?
we live on a nice neighborhood by Apple Orchard.
Yeah.
But we'll talk to some of our neighbors and they'll say, "Oh, we only go to the trunk or treat. We only go to McKinnon Park." They'll list very specific, activities, and I feel like it marginalizes people against their own neighbors.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this kind of dissociation with their association,
Yeah.
and that really kind of hurts your real neighbors, like the people that you are really in this. It's convenient that we can drive and to arrive at these areas and have this lovely time, but I feel like it needs to start within our neighborhood. So we do decorate, we try to put out great treats, but it breaks my children's heart every year.
What do you put out, or what do you get for treats?
So I'm my mother, that's what I'm gonna go with. I don't condone
You give out celery sticks or something?
Oh, I would love to. You have to wash them and make sure they're make sure it's a macrobiotic rich local. What I would add to that is we had the pixie sticks and the powder. I forget. Yeah, it's been a long time. So I saw those. She does top shelf premium. It was like Lightsabers, Sour Patch, the trolleys. Mm-hmm. When I came home, I had brought some treats after the Augustana game, and Augie Vikings won. Yay! I have some friends in faculty, so we attend the games. So they're handing them out. My mother has an orderly system. She's like, "Hey, one per customer." And I was like, "You can be so. Why don't you be more generous?" And she's like, "Don't do that." I'm like, "There's plenty. I think we'll be perfectly fine."
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just our traditions are really. I get crumble cookies. We watch Nightmare Before Christmas and Coco and things like that. But I feel like we have a beautiful neighborhood. I know we have an enriched area around children. We have a great school across the street, beautiful parks nearby. It just kind of breaks my heart that a lot of people aren't staying in their neighborhoods. And if you think about it, this is truly where you invest your tax dollars, you put into your home, and you're enriching your environment. Why are we supporting outside of that? And that's continuing their cotton candy ventures and their haunted houses.
That's it. Call Paul Tenhagen and tell him right now, Doksha next year.
I've heard that. I've heard, and I've heard that Paul is the full-size candy bar guy.
Yeah.
I've heard that several times just from inside sources in the South Side.
I feel like you would have to be if you were like in a position like that. You don't want to be like out there like handing out fucking
minis.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
I mean, unless you're gonna go hard and give out ramen.
Yeah.
You know.
Ooh. Yeah. You know what? That would actually be amazing. I think I could swing next year and just make 12 top ramens in a little bowl to
there you go.
Because it would be, cold night. I think you might catch me doing that next year.
Kids love ramen. They would love that stuff.
I think you'd have a lot of empty bowls like on your driveway, like.
I grew up in Sisseton, in northeast South Dakota, and my uncle would give away cans of soda.
Oh, yeah.
But they were like Shasta or
Dr. Thunder.
Dr. Thunder, something like that, So, but we loved that shit. And then one year he gave out ramens. Needless to say, I'm gonna cuss. Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying not to this whole entire time. How long did we make it? How long are we in?
I don't know. We're about 30 minutes in, I think.
Oh, right, good. Well, that lasted that long. Oh my gosh! And I totally want to look at your whole thing here. I don't drink, like we said. I'm gonna say this over and over because people need to know this. I don't drink, but you have nowadays. Do you prefer any of these other things besides stuff? I'm just looking at your collection for.
Yeah, no, it's just stuff that's there. Like I don't know, like when I was designing this room, I don't know, I just like the bar setup kind of thing. And like normally we're like in here getting lit, like talking shit to each other and having fun or whatever, but
You can try and talk shit and see what happens.
yeah, no, I don't need to get beat up on live. Like,
Amen.
There's a first for everything.
Yeah.
Not again. No.
I know. I was like, are we partying today? I was like, are we gonna show up and it's like a day thing? No.
No.
That's good. I was just joking, but you know, I'm no judgment. You know.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's the day after Halloween. No, it was so funny. So like yesterday, I'm just a little anecdote. Like there was some kids standing behind us in line, and they were like maybe 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, here's my segue into my next conversation.
Okay.
These girls were like, I could totally smoke weed today. It's Halloween. And they were like 13, 14 years old. And like all this stuff. And I'm like sitting back here like just a mom now. I'm like, these kids. And then I'm at the bar and I run into this older guy and he's like, he just won, you know, a bunch of free spins. We cashed out a good ticket and he's sitting there and he's like, oh, and then, you know, I might partake in some festivities tonight, it being Halloween. I'm like, oh my God, the generations are coming together. This is amazing. Yeah. But I wanted to see what do you have anything in here?
Yeah.
I am going to be public this time around. I didn't talk much about it last time, but I have a medical marijuana card.
Yeah.
And I think we've had a couple of conversations about this, but I think it's important for us again to like be public about stuff or be open. There are so many people who support different issues, but there is also like this problem we have with the state coming in and telling us that even though we voted on something, we can't have it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so I'm going to slam this and chase it with my water. No, I'm just kidding.
No, she won't.
Yeah.
No, for people that are listening, she did not reach for that bottle.
Yeah,
and
we are just
shot
kidding.
Glass.
Yes, and this is THC. It's not alcohol for the aunties watching.
Yeah.
But I am a legal consumer.
Yeah. I don't know. THC is bad for me. I can't.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah, it shuts me down. Like I can't do it.
Have you ever been a smoker or
I
anything?
used to smoke every once in a while, but like I'd have to remind myself every like once or twice a year. I'm like, we could probably smoke a little bit, and then it's always like it always reminds me of like, oh yeah, no, you can't. Like you're gonna pass out like immediately, or have to go home like right away.
Do you get the spins and stuff?
I don't know. I just get like tired. Like I don't know. Like in January, I was trying to not drink. I was like, let's not drink January. And then I was like, well, I still want to go out and have fun. So I was like, maybe we could drink some of these THC drinks.
Has this been here since January?
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Just kidding.
But yeah, I was like, maybe I could just go out and drink some THC drinks, and that was a bad idea. I lasted like an hour. I had like 2 of them, and I was like, dude, no, I got to get out of here like immediately. Like fucking, and then I went home and just like swam in my chair for like 3 hours, like watching TV.
Oh, bed rubbing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, it was rough. I can't do it. I don't know. I wish I could, but yeah, it's not for me.
I think everyone should do whatever they feel is comfortable for them. It has a stigma about self-medicating and all these other things, but there could be a lot more worse things people are doing.
Yeah.
And, I think it all just depends on the person, yada, yada. For myself personally, I could tell you some really crazy stories about people who shouldn't be smoking weed. In high school, there was a girl that would forget my name.
Yeah.
And, eventually I'm like, you know what? I don't do this with you anymore. I can't. I just, oh my gosh, And then at our 20-year reunion, where everyone's got cards standing around with vapes and everything, And I looked at her, I was like, 20 some years later, I'm like, I said I wasn't going to do this with you again. And she's
There's
like,
a statute of limitation when it comes to friends.
And I'll give her credit. She did remember my name by then. But still.
20 years later.
Yeah. But, a lot of people have been using for, that long.
Yeah.
And then now with it being, recognized medically, it's made some really big changes for people. I personally, I talk a lot about my mental health too, and I'm not ashamed of talking about it. I struggle with PTSD, and I was diagnosed bipolar, and when I was probably 18, and misdiagnosed with who knows what else,
Yeah.
And so it really helped me get away from pharmaceutical drugs and for a long time function. But now that it's legal, there's all kinds of different medical plans and everything, and it's different now. It's way different now than, being judged for whatever it is that helps you.
Yeah.
But also don't drink. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Right, and I feel like there's confrontations with a lot of different things that are available. I mean, I think when you talk about abuse, I've come from medical, and I've had
No.
slurp
Yeah.
onomatopoeia is what you're thinking of.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think you think of an agent and you think about what its potential outcome can be for dangerous or for the potential abuse, and I think that's what
Right.
comes into question. It's going to be a user error, unfortunately, but it's also how it's designed chemically and how its biologics respond to candidates that you see this violent, horrific, or dissociative outcome. But there's a lot of times where I think there's some really noble people that are really putting in the science, the independent work, that are really trying to rectify and really create positive change to avoid some of the narcotics abuse and choices,
Right.
the continuum of opioids and variations being available or being used and abused within systems. I had the pleasure of talking to Dr. Alex Redding. He's a chemistry foundation. He's a professor at MSU, and he's been wanting to do some great work with cannabinoids in combating some of that opioid addiction and being a more safer alternative. And they're really working on so many of the derivatives chemically. I think there's just a lot of exciting work, but I also fear that when people hear that word, there is that negative connotation already now because of the reefers, the reefer
madness.
the reefer,
Yeah.
thank you, the reefer
The reefer
madness. But that really has left a lasting sting, especially on medical. And I have worked in pharmaceutical for a number of years, but I feel like something we were discussing too is cocaine has been a derivative of many drugs, and it's just one of those things where I feel like the informed public doesn't have a direct knowledge and information that's being transparent. So I think it actually shocks and appalls people to know that there are derivatives of these really dangerous narcotics within their agents of their own medications or potential treatments and things like that. But what I would always say to kind of minimize some of that judgment, shame, guilt, and association people potentially have from using some of these medications that may be helping them continue a functioning life, that they're able to continue with their purpose.
Right.
I would just say that it has more to do with that balance of treatment, changing their medications, being forthcoming, being honest, showing up for medical appointments, and being transparent with their medical team and their family.
Right.
I don't think there's any greater shock or ordeal that could happen is when you find that someone's had a tragic accident of overdose or misuse, or unfortunately, and as a parent, this one scares me, is the potential abuse or use from a minor getting into medications. And I feel like that's probably one of the scariest realities that we really face is if you have these medications that you have a medical need, fortunately, if someone is ill, unwell in a particular way, they use this as a means to steal, use on their own.
Right.
The consequences are just too grim.
Yeah.
And children are really so susceptible. Their bodies are so vulnerable. And it's just a chemical. I mean, I think about my boys are so tiny.
Yeah.
I think so the sugar thing that you would ask me about earlier. She was in my house earlier. I didn't get to show her this, but I cut the crumble cookies into quarters.
Yeah.
I know, everyone's like, boo, you bitch. I know you, I see you.
Yeah.
Eat me. So,
There's your ASMR.
But what I would say to that is I think about chemically with my children, with their brain, they do not get sugar, so therefore they're going to have a strong reaction. They're going to have this, chemical reaction to this agent. What is that going to do to them? And the timing, if I'm giving it to them at night and I'm going to send them to bed, what radicalization or chemical processing is going to stimulate their brain during, their REM sleep? Are they getting to REM sleep? Are my boys rested? All of these particular things, it's just a catalyst into that, and that's a small thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
And
something
and
we
that's
can
only
think
like
about.
one example too
Right.
of like how people's are engineered to even metabolize everything. You know, Native kids are there's a huge assumption that a lot of Native kids are ADHD. So you see people giving them coffee, or they give them sugar, and it's like they think it's gonna like help or something.
Yeah.
Like my son, he's just wild. I mean, he don't need coffee, he don't need any of this. And one summer, he spent the weekend back home with his grandparents, my aunt and uncle, and she calls me and she was like, "Oh my God, you need to have this boy checked out or something. Gee whiz, he could just drink coffee and run around." I'm like, because he doesn't have ADHD, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Just zipping him around. But, you know, but that's kind of the standard now. You know,
Yeah.
I remember kids getting coffee in you know, middle school.
Really?
And stuff like that. Heck yeah.
I didn't have any experience with coffee until I was way old. I don't know.
Well, I would say that has a lot to do with the marketing and consumer and things like that. I know there's a lot of companies,
This is why
Starbucks,
we have her here.
that have made alternative trends.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're kind of letting the kids in the bar in a particular way. We're making it more attractive. They have pink drinks, they have dragon drinks. These are non-coffee alternatives. They're high in sugar, high in carbs, and they're readily addictive because of that response that they're having chemically within their brain. Cortisol, serotonin goes up, and it's just that response of that dopamine. It's just happening, that reaction. They love it. They want it. I had worked part-time at Starbucks here in Sioux Falls. The year I bought my house, it was like my 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. job before my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Bless them for that, by the way.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing young girls that were across the street from the one I worked at to go to O'Gorman High School, and there would be a handful of girls in a single car, and they would all get a high sugar, high stimulant drink. It's not caffeine per se. None of them are getting vanilla lattes, but they are spending between $4 and $9 per drink to have 30 ounces of sugar.
Yeah.
And they're 14, 16 years old. And, I'm looking at them at 6:45 a.m. and I'm like, you have everything. You have everything. You have everything in front of you.
Don't even know.
I know. I need one of those. Do you remember those fake cigarettes? The cigarette candies when we're little? I'm just
just blowing.
I'm just you have no idea, girls. This is the golden years right now, and you're
just
wasting it in your Trenta pink drink right now. No, but there's a lot of that potential damage, and there's cellular damage that happens from that excess, and there's a lot of, I think we're going to see more and more as I worked in gastroenterology, that the digestive and things like that, but we're going to see more heart arrhythmia, because I feel like that is the gateway. I know, ew for saying, but you go on to those kind of trends of the Alani, a lot of these energy drinks, these herbals, the Celsius. Red Bull's an OG, and they've been warned several times. But yes, that becomes that classification where you go down that, and then we see people that unfortunately that are very young and they're having cardiac issues. They're on cardiac medications, and it's a very private and personal issue. And I think personally, in my high school, I remember there was a young gal that had passed away, and they said cardiac issues. And that was such a new, it was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But we were just what kind of cardiac issues could a 14-year-old girl have?
Right.
And it really wasn't. Her heart was just overstressed. She was still developing, and it just created an arrhythmia. And I'm not sure what other, agents were involved, but she passed away very young, and it taught a lot of people in our community, you really have to be conscientious of these things.
Yeah.
And something I kind of even tell my kids, as of now, I'm I could do this, but I love you too much not to do it. And trust me, you leave me with Asher, I will bring you back a different child. He was over the other day. He knows I've already told him. I said my boys have rules, they have responsibilities, and I
said, did you like being at Jack's house? Should we do that here? And he was like, no.
You're gonna cut my cookies in fourths.
Yeah.
See, during my administration.
Yeah, you drink let them eat cookies. Yeah, let them eat cookies. Yes. No, and I respect that, but also too, it's something I'm wholeheartedly, I truly believe, and when I've done volunteer work here in the community, I mean, really, my heart is in a really good place of this, but it's just, a fed child is a great child. There really just needs to be that is, there's a lot of unfortunate judgment. One of my favorite humans, she's a school teacher here, She has her miracle baby, and she had posted, I remember reading this, that she took her child to get the sundae from McDonald's.
Yeah.
And she's just a lovely, lovely, lovely human. I cannot tell you how much her and her spouse went to, in vitro and back, to have this miracle child, to be her every whim and desire. And she had to remove some of the comments, as she's an educator to many people that were chiming in, talking about how vile this, was. How dare she give this kid this sugar and whatever meal from McDonald's. And she's like, I love this kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was not even a question of love, girl. I was like, I know you love him because you spent $8.99,
on an ice cream cone.
On an ice cream cone and a meal. But I think that there really is this judgment, because unfortunately, when we talk about our social medias, we're opening ourselves up for scrutiny, and it's such an unrealistic expectation, because even if we were shielded or guarded or behind closed doors, I was reading something talking about oatmeal being bad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much of that, and that's like a core of my diet. But it's fortified, it's rich, it's colored, it's but someone's gonna think I'm a monster for making that or preparing that. There's no winning with the public eye. You can be transparent and just be like, you know what, this works for me. This is convenient. This is saving me from doing milk and cereal. But I feel like there's so much that there is this judgment, and once again, that's not really what a community does. A community should pull together. I think a community should pull resources. I think that we know a lot of wonderful people and volunteer in like food banks and donations and things like that. So if you have a problem with it, go volunteer. If you have a problem with it, go prep meals. If you have a problem with it, donate to families to have a more enriched meal program for this particular month in need that are having issues with subsidies or any particular benefits being cut. If you have a problem with it, be a part of the resolution. Don't come with me with these particulars and no resolution base. That's not really even an open discussion. That's not helpful. That is just criticism without any resolve. And I think a lot of times too, when people ask us about where we get the bandwidth or where we get the drive to do some of the things that we do in the community, I'm not about it. It's not on the gram. It's not on my social media. I'm here to help. I'm not here to judge. And I've done some really great work, and I'm going to shout out because I do want to continue to work with and volunteer in the future with Midwest Street Medicine team. Absolutely love the work.
Shout out Dr. Shannon.
I love you so much, Shin, and Nurse Heidi. Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you soon.
Dr. Mo.
Yes.
What is that? What is that?
About a year and a half, 2 years ago now. It's been 2 years, they had this big idea to go and start helping out in the streets and stuff, and so they all got loaded up with backpacks and
we should go
first
back.
aid kits.
We should go back a little bit. So pediatrics, general doctors, nurses, PAs, the people that involved are the core leaders of the leadership of this Midwest Street Medicine are health professionals, are licensed, are current, are valid.
Put their own money, sweat, and tears into the starting.
They absolutely did. So these individuals at the core that we're speaking of, those are some of their credentials. There's volunteers like myself and others that have medical background, medical training and affiliation, or even like anyone else that's just passionate can always volunteer their time Sundays and Wednesdays. That we perform in groups and cohorts, a team. So like say the three of us are on a team, there's an RN or there's usually a medical provider that's with the team. We'll bring backpacks or wagons, and depending on the season, it'll be socks, blankets, food, water, snacks, but most of the time what we're actually doing is potentially like eye exams. We're setting up for glasses. We're getting medication from the drugstore delivered to them. Because they lack a residence, we try to be the mediator between getting them medication, getting them care, or getting them contraceptive, blood tests set up, and even alcohol panels and screenings and assistance with that. So we sign them up and we make sure they make doctor's appointments. We do follow-up care. So we kind of act as even like the community healthcare worker mediator within that process of making sure that these individuals get access to care right then and there, no judgment, no questions.
No cost.
And no cost to them because of the individuals that are putting their money into it and the donors and things like that. And
who can like take advantage of that? Like just anybody or like?
Well, so if you're, so the reason I would say anybody is my short answer that's on the street without a residence. I've met some wonderful, wonderful people, and I think what they're doing is just fantastic because the way we orient our day is we start in some of the group homes locally here, and some people are aware of, but that's like our first round. We'll go through, we just check in with everyone, like, hey, do you need anything? Is your daughter okay? Is your son okay? You know, all right, how's your daughter? You know, how do you need, do you need anything?
Yeah.
You know, if you're like, hey, I need my medication refilled, let me handle that, and I'm going to relay it back to you.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be at tonight? You know, where are you going to be at tomorrow? Where are you going to be at? And if you're like, hey, I'd love to get some mail, or I'd love to get some socks, or, you know, something particular, we're going to help facilitate that without judgment. Now, there have been situations, and I know this has always been scrutinized, but I've also worked with some really great people from Emily's Hope. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I really appreciate the work you're doing. Thanks, Courtney, for having me.
Love Courtney.
Yes. But we put together the naloxone, those packs, and sometimes, if need be, the street medicine team does have the resources to perform and give out Narcan. I know that's controversial, but at the same time, I think it is readily accessible. We're using the resources, and we're doing it to save lives.
Yeah.
There's no judgment within it. We give them a safe, space. If we need to administer and we make that decision, then it's there and it's present. A lot of times too, I would say, unfortunately, when we're talking about violence earlier, as you were indicating, that there is some violence over shelter sites, and potential, robbery within people. And they've been injured on the street, they've been in a fight, there's sexual assault. Then we're able to do test or get them help and facilitate wound care, anything really. I mean, it's actually, I would say, if anything, to kind of turn that around and into a more beautiful, like, the sense of community within the couples and the community is, I don't know, it's like, I hope this love finds me. Because some of the people I've absolutely seen where they're like, hey, this is my partner and she's been without her medication, you need to look after her. And then she's like, he's had this terrible wound, and she's like, you need to take care of him. And it's just something very antebellum that I just don't think that we really see, because they're really looking out for each other because they have only the other. And until, we make rounds or visits, or they come across the care, they see like the wagons and the backpacks with the orange on them. It kind of gives you like the hunter vibe. People really resonate a positive response to that, and they know that they're doing good work, like I said, without judgment. But there's a lot of people that I think misconstrued what they're doing, but the reality is this is community grassroots medical care, and it's just one of the many things that I love about Sioux Falls. I love about that team. They are just so retroactive, and they're just beautifully spirited individuals that are like, we're in the trenches, we're doing this. And sometimes it can be grim, it's cold, it's all all these things, and these volunteers and these healthcare providers are taking time out of their day to do this, to be a part of this, because they believe in that sense of the individuals deserve it. So I love it.
She's not even a paid promoter.
I'm not. Because I mentioned we're nonprofit, and I would like to be back there again. And that's my promotion, is I'd like to be back. Welcome back.
Right on.
But awesome. And these kind of ideas and these solutions and stuff are where we are. In not just in America, but Sioux Falls specifically, because there are these cycles that we're saying. So you see other nonprofits come and go, because for whatever reasons.
Right.
And so there's always kind of a gap to fill.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, my big idea, not to give my plans away. No, I'm just kidding. So my whole thing was like, I think Sioux Falls deserves an Indian Center. And one of the things that I was pushing for was, how do we value the houseless folks that are navigating the city for everybody else? Because I have this big theory: you take care of one Native person downtown, you're going to take care of probably another 4 to 5 non-Native people, immigrants, whomever that they're close with. Like, you just said that, everyone's down for each other. And it's, a lot of them are mixed race couples. A lot of people are mixed race groups. And, you know, we don't give people credit like that anymore. And it's because of the I don't want to call it, I don't want to go too far into politics, but like the MAGA mentality and stuff has us thinking that we're not getting along here in South Dakota. And we don't see it like that, you know, and the people who can't get along and they can't get to the point where they can deal with that inner work that needs to get them there, we don't have to tolerate it anymore, you know. It is what it is, and that's okay. And we have to get comfortable as natives and indigenous people to say that's okay. You know, we're not here to soften the experience of America for white people anymore. I mean, you know, it's great. You know, it's nice that folks want to be involved and they want to be your friend and stuff, but at the same time, like, we have to encourage people to do the work on their own as well. Read the books, see the movies, make more friends, you know, surround yourself with people of color. Not to get on my high horse or anything, but, you know, that's really what I'm hoping I experience in this next year is non-racist white folks that are ready to, like, do the work. You know, I used to say that we're like in a civil war because it's not us against, it's not people of color against, you know, white folks anymore. It's the cops against black lives, native lives, all these things. But at the same time, we gotta let the non-native, non-people of color fight each other. You know, that's the only way we're going to come to a solution. In the Civil War, they were fighting over everything and slavery and all the same kind of issues that we're talking about now when it comes to race. And, you know, they didn't care if we fought or not. You know, people died. And so we still see people dying for our democracy and for America. And I like to say stuff like that. No, I like to say stuff like that, but it just, you know, I also don't like to, I don't want to fearmonger this year. I really, you know, I think that's what we're going to see. We're definitely going to see these Republicans go head to head with each other. There was another Republican that jumped in on a ticket today, and I mean, like, they're just going to keep coming out of the woodwork, but they're going to fight each other. And, you know, like I mentioned, we kind of got to let them start canceling each other out and work that out. But my opponent specifically, that I'll be worried about the most is Dusty Johnson. You know, he's used Native American issues and his tribal relations as a platform to get to where he is. I say this because I've supported him in the past, and I'll be transparent and let folks know that I voted for him in the past. He's always been, or his office has always been, able to return phone calls, and so, you know, you got to be the guy who knows a guy, right? So I always looked at him as, you know, as a friend, at least, if nothing less. And so I think we can really hold him to a different standard when we're going into our campaign, as opposed to just being a talking head or some establishment Republican that we don't have access to. We have access to him if we wanted, you know. Same thing with other Republicans. Marty Jacquelinee, I had a meeting with him a couple months ago, and we had a great conversation. I know I'm supposed to be some raging liberal and not like not cool with the good old boys, but, you know, they're doing the work, you know, and unfortunately and fortunately, as tribal nations and as tribal citizens, we need to get comfortable working with both sides of the aisle. So we don't really get to be as partisan as they want us to be. And so meeting with Marty Jacquelinee was a really good experience, and I was looking forward to telling you about a whole bunch of this whole thing, and I forgot to bring it, but I can still tell you about it.
Tell me about it.
Well, I've been going to the prison. And it's I think I started going in, I don't know, March or April already. It's just been, somebody reached out after the demonstration last year. For your viewers and listeners and stuff, we had a demonstration last year in front of the prison, and they blocked us into a bridge and stuff, and we shut down about 6-7 blocks, and really it just was, we pulled an AIM action. It's okay, you know, but we got the attention of the Department of Justice, and so you know, they met with tribal police chiefs. They were monitoring South Dakota. They monitored our elections. The Attorney General came to our territory to meet with the chairman. I mean, there's all this positive change that happened, and it stemmed from just the ability to communicate with them. or even being open-minded enough,
Right.
you know, and without it being fear-mongering.
Right.
And we had all these opportunities lined up and stuff, and so we're just still trying to maintain those connections to see where it goes from here. But in my conversation with Marty Jacquelinee, you know, they're building this new prison. You know, we're talking Sioux Falls here, so you know everyone has an opinion on whether or not we need a bigger prison, newer prison, all this stuff. And the one here is like over 100 years old, and it's they don't say that enough out loud either. It's the boys on the hill that are going to get pushed to the new building.
Yeah.
And the NACT group, I don't know how much you know about those guys, but
I don't know anything about it.
it's the Native American Coalition of Tribes, or Tribal Coalition. I'll get it right one day. NACT. And you know, they do a lot of work on the inside to mentor each other, and they work on different education programs. They're you know, trying to make sure that they're staying on task with things. There's a lot of jobs they can do in there that they're not getting the opportunity to do so. And so over the last couple of months, I asked them if they could put something together for me. And you know, we have the prison task force going on, and you don't really hear like input from the inmates themselves, or you know, from relatives on site. So recently I was able to kind of do a little focus group with some correctional officers and another employee, and we had a really good conversation about what they were experiencing, being overworked and overtired and, you know, undertrained, understaffed, all these things that are state level and administration, not so much employee level or the inmates, you know. And everyone seems to be in agreement as far as the staff and the inmates that, you know, they do need better training, they need more better scheduling, but they are all under like really stressful lifestyles. And so it's like, if one person antagonizes one other person, and the next thing you know, the CO gets involved and he's crappy, and then it turns into whatever because he's been up for 72 hours on a 3-4 dayer, you know. And these are people we see in the community, you know, we could all think of somebody. And it's just really, it's stressful all around for everybody. But, you know, we also, I also learned that, you know, their lives and their jobs are so heavy that they don't have time to go to school. So it's hard for them to go to school and to have the job at the same time. So they don't get to move up in upper management, or they don't get to progress because they don't have the opportunity at time management.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we create solutions for these problems? You know, I mean, I'm in the book, or in the report that they gave me. You know, they talked about even just having classes at the same time.
Right.
How come you can't have the COs and the inmates in different sides in different classes simultaneously, and just, you know, in it, or you know, in a more safer environment, and you know, like time friendly. But opening up, you mentioned the CHW program.
Yes.
The school has a kind of a compact going on with what is STI?
Yeah, Southeast Dakota College here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, and they have CHW programs there that they go in, and it's like an 18-month program, 2-year program.
No.
Oh, it's not that long?
No, it is not. Shout out to Professor Angela Olenathan. Thank you so much for being a part of that program and coming from USD and really facilitating that program at Southeast Tech. I really appreciate your time.
Everybody knows a CHW.
Yes. Well, I did it, so I went through the program, so I can say that. And I did it just to help my initiatives and help in understanding. I was one of the few people, it was quite intimidating, that were not working in that industry. And there was a lot of people that were working for LSS, working at resource centers, working with special populations and communities of translation of different of origins and individuals. And they came into it doing the work, representing clients. I came in as just a fan and trying to bring more ideas adjacent to some of the other people I had consulted and worked with. But back to that, the Southeast program, that is a 5-month program. It is a 5-month program, and it is full-time.
Yeah.
You'll go through certain segments of it, but it is enriched. There is assignments. You have to volunteer. I think it's like 80 hours in addition to your studies and your reports and your documentation and your studies. It is a well put together program. I absolutely love what they're doing, and I know that they're always uniquely theirs is that they work with a lot of the helpline, the I was gonna say
this is all valuable information for your viewers.
No, I know.
If you're in Sioux Falls, they're like,
boy.
we know this already.
No, but I think a lot of times too what happens is if you're in need of assistance, and that can be for bills to be paid, things to be understood with contractual law, your better business, your working environment, your housing situation. There are individuals and programs that are willing to help you. If you have a neighbor that needs dental work, healthcare,
Navigators,
that they're willing to do the grassroots work to get you to your appointments. I had worked with a translator at the resource center with Avera, and we had helped special deliveries within the NICU of women from Ethiopia and Sudan. Because they didn't have families in a community to welcome that new child into this community. So we had to be the buffer between the healthcare providers, her follow-up appointments, and giving her education and resources for potential for pediatrics and for being a new mom in this community, in this environment that she's not accustomed to. So there's just so many different avenues, but I think a lot of times we are trying. There is help, and I think it's just we have a really great community sense of individuals that are accessible. And I think as my time has been here, I've found the accessibility to be really great and far-reaching.
Right. And then we're trying to like figure out how to spread that narrative to be able to translate that into a CHW program as well. And so how do we get a corrections officers program where they're going in fully trained, or even figuring out how to more utilize the city's training program instead of sending our tribal officers to Artesia. There's a couple of things that are going on already, but how do we push for that? How do we get tribal officers to come and be urban officers for a few years and then go take back what they learned and earn sergeant or something like that? There's ideas and there's things there, but these are the type of stuff that we talk about, because at this point I think any big idea is better than no idea. And it's also there are so many things that are just logical answers, I think, in South Dakota. And it's just about getting to the point where we can get out of our own way, stop sabotaging each other, and then also, just bucking up, to be honest. We got a long road ahead of us the next couple of years, and it's gonna be fun. I'm very much into politics. I think it's a great time.
I think it's a great time, and I think you brought this up early on in the conversation, but I know when you kind of say that, I feel like when a lot of people have this hurt, this aggressive nature, as constituents, there's harm there. I mean, and the truth of the matter is, I get asked by people too, they're like, how do you work with adversity? How do you work with people that are fighting you, calling, saying these, derogatory things, or seeing, pushback? And the truth is, and it comes from, having understanding of, background, but at the same time, I just see hurt. I just see people in pain. And it's more of they're not being heard, they're not being validated, and no one's giving them resolution. I have small children, I've worked with kids, and I volunteer at my kids' school. Let them have it. Let them have it, let them feel the feels, and it's like, okay, now we're resolution based. Now that we've got the emotions aside, let's see what the constituents really want. What is the community calling for, and to educate them on the process of which these things happen. I know the city council.
You're gonna say trauma informed.
Yeah, a little bit. But I feel like a lot of people will say, well, we need a stop sign in this neighborhood. We need a speed bump in this neighborhood. We need a stoplight in this neighborhood, and
we need more trees. We need less trees.
Yeah, right. We need construction to stop here, and we need this and that. The need is real. But I think there is a disenfranchisement of individuals that don't understand the actual process and policies that happen. And unfortunately, I feel like our officials are not transparent in that process, because it's time consuming to educate the population to say, hey, actually there's a queue and a measure, and this is how much dollars we have to set aside. Does yours take precedent over a major intersection? Does your neighborhood take precedent over us needing to allocate this money, to put this near a school? Does yours going to take precedent over a new district and rezoning? These particular things aren't shared. They just listen, say thank you, we've heard your claims, and there's no immediate action or resolution, or even that, this is unfortunate, I agree with you, but this is the reality of it. So I think
you know,
and going into that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, in one of the realities of politics is that people don't know that these plans have been set out far ahead before anyone even gets elected.
Years and years and
you
years.
know, I won't. I got to meet with the planning director for the city when I was running for city council, and he puts a short-term plan in front of me, a 5-year plan book, and then a 10-year plan. And then he explains to me that nobody on council right now had anything to do with half of the stuff that they're doing because it's been something in motion along the way.
Yeah.
And so people are easily like frightened, and they're kind of I don't want to say gaslit either because it's a token word, but you know, or buzzword, and it just it gets people fired up. But you know, how do we how do we redirect it? Because it's a huge misdirection for people's that passion, you know, that because people want to care, but we got to get them to vote. We got to get them to care again enough to register to vote. We got to get the felons all fired up because they can vote too once they're off paper and paid their debt, you know. And I started this by talking. See, the boys tease me. It's like squirrel. Somebody crying out there?
Somebody's like been moaning around out there for like 20 minutes now. It's making me laugh. So I'm like, what the fuck is happening out there?
Get out of there.
What the fuck?
Well, yeah.
Oh Lord.
But no, I was talking about the prison
Yeah.
really quick. When we finish that whole thing, they would tease me like squirrels, you know.
Yeah.
They were who I announced to first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, each one of you guys could have anywhere from like 10 to 100 people that are votes behind you. Just because you can't vote doesn't mean you can't call your mom, your auntie, your cousin, and everybody in your family who can, and you know, help us make this happen. You know, they offered to try to help me fundraise and all this other kinds of stuff. I mean, can you imagine if I got a campaign donation from like people in prison? It sounds unrealistic, but it's real. You know what I mean? Like it could happen. We're figuring it out. We got lawyers on it. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't put that much time into it. But it's an active conversation, and you know, and I don't want to be scared to say that. I don't want to not be able to share that with people, because we need to know that the relatives that are incarcerated are doing the work that they need to do to heal. And you know, I just push for them. I push for them a whole bunch. I'm from Siston. So like, you know, we have a big gang affiliation with the prisons and stuff here, and then, you know, the stuff that goes on in Sioux Falls, it's all kind of been coming up to this, and it's fine. It's okay, you know, and, you know, people, there's a stigma around this behavior and stuff, but the fact of the matter is that our people are 1 to 2, like maybe even 3 generations now into urban lifestyle. You know, you and your family here too. We just have to assimilate into urban culture, and for us, you know, so I'm gonna go deep for a second. That first generation in Sioux Falls were likely boarding school survivors, and so they were cut off from their culture, their language, and you know, the sense of the community that you're supposed to be born with, and then put into Sioux Falls. And so of course all we could do was, you know, what we had access to. So people kind of morphed into what we have now. But so how do we move that around? How do we offer language and culture and community as a solution to the prison problem? And that's the conversation I had with Marty Jacquelinee. You know, Geoppy makes me seem like I'm up to a whole bunch of bad stuff. Geoppy means gossip in Dakota.
Well, let's say it's a year from now. You've just been elected governor. What's the first thing you're gonna do?
Do I want to go big? You're gonna like this one. I'm gonna say it out loud.
You gotta manifest it.
I'm
What are you gonna do?
manifest this. When I become governor, we are going to start an investigation into Christine Ohm and charge her on her own soil.
Yeah.
You know, and see what she's really been up to. And it's important. I think our people in the state want that to happen. I think Americans want that to happen.
That's the first thing you're gonna do?
It's one of the first things.
Yeah.
I put a lot of thought into this. Because I was like, geez, I think he's gonna ask me that. We were talking about this yesterday. For like, we wanted to give you a list of questions and stuff, and really get you looking like a TV host. Or
Yeah.
But no, I was thinking about that, and I do really think that, you know, this administration is up to a lot of no good, and she's our constituent. She resides here. She's legally from here, and I think it's up to our state to hold her accountable. Unfortunately, the federal government is taking a I don't want to say a turn either. See, I'm trying not to catastrophize. I really don't. I think people are looking for accountability, is what I'm trying to get at. I think people are looking for justice and for the law to prevail, because right now it's really it's messing with our brains, it's messing with our emotions, but that's how they keep us where we are, right? So they can keep doing the stuff in the back room or whatever, pulling fast ones over our heads and stuff. And I've seen it enough times. I've been doing this for 22, 23 years already. And
if people want to donate to you, like how do they get a hold of you, or how do they donate to your campaign?
There's so many ways. They can start by going to voterenville.com. I created a website. I have my platform on there and my bio. We have direct through to the website that you can donate, but then there's also a donor box, and then I set up a Venmo and a money PayPal, or money, I can't ever say it, PayPal money pool. Yeah. Because, I think we need to make it as accessible as we can, but at the same time, campaign finance laws are a real thing.
Yeah.
And so the more receipts, the better. People are kind of inclined to be sneaky about campaign finance, but not me. I really am hyper vigilant when it comes to money. I had this conversation the other day. As a Native American person, we're expected to start off at 5 pegs higher. Just because we have to look clean, we gotta look smart, we gotta look all these things, and we have to look capable, because we're likely going to be the only Native in the room. And so it's like, how can I prepare myself for the next year where I'm going to be the only Native in the room against a registered sex offender and Dusty Johnson and all these other crazy people, QAnon, there's all these things. And I'm just mentally trying to get ready, and I think by seeing a certain level of support and having more outreach come back to me, I think it really would just kind of cement the plan that I think we put into motion 8 years ago. Not to be cheesy, but you're going to hear it too. These are all based in prayers. We've buried medicines and made ties and put flags up, and I've just done all these prayerful actions over this last 8-9 years and stuff. And so all of this stuff is meant to be in my mind, and in my heart and stuff. I think we've prayed for these things, and I think our people prayed for these things 7 generations ago. We're the final frontier in America right now against white supremacy, against MAGA, against Trump, against the oligarchy, and top 1%, the Elon Musk, all this stuff. It's all there, and I just think it's our right as Dakota people, Lakota Ochete Shakoi people, to defend what's ours. And right now, that's the Dakota Territory, that's South Dakota, not just our reservations, but the state as a whole. And I'm just ready for a Lakota governor. I've been saying that a while. Now I get to say it. I get to say it again.
It's exciting. I think it's really exciting doing what you're doing, and just seeing the progression that's been made or whatever. And I'm excited to see where it goes in the next year. And I hope I hope this little session here was informative for people, and really appreciate you guys for coming through and sharing this message with us. And I'm just excited to see where it goes, and if you need my help for anything, I'm always down for whatever. So
and I appreciate you having us. This is a really nice little setup we got. Shout out to the Hill State Prison, what up. I also just want to remind people that voter registration is an all year round thing. People who have been felons or have served time and are off paper, they think their parole officers and other state programs are actually obligated to make sure that they know that they can re-register. And so there was a lawsuit a few years ago even. So there's all kinds of avenues for us to get involved and civically engaged and stuff. So I just think it would be really cool for people to start there, and donating $5 to $99. You don't even have to give me your address or nothing. But we also all know somebody who knows somebody with funding. And I'm just gonna be blunt this time around. there's a lot of people out there who want to give to political campaigns, but they need to find the right one. And
Yeah.
so, you know, how can we keep building the narrative, and how can we keep showing people that this is for America? We really are. I don't want to get on myself all emotional and stuff, but you know what, this really is. I feel that big about it. You know, our country is at stake right now, and I think we have a chance at doing what we can to save our democracy.
Right on. Well, hopefully you can lead us that way. So, yeah, thank you for coming through, and I think we'll wrap it at that. And it's been informative. I feel like I'm a smarter man now than I was an hour and a half ago.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Well, I achieved my goal then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
Right
we're
on.
gonna make some chocolates and